Hi, everybody.
A little bit of blue suede
The
shoes, not
Sisters
quite.
of the Mystical Tarot. Tonight, making her world debut is Patches. Now she's going to look the other direction, of course.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Oh,
Patches.
teach a sweetie pie.
Focus camera. There it is. Oh, now she's caught in my necklace. Okay. Cute. I have to take the necklace off. And hopefully she won't poopy on me while we're on air.
Oh. Well, she's a kitten, so it's not like
it
goes in, it comes out.
And you know what I say, Shari? Why not everybody else does?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. She'll be 4 weeks old on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We got to her yesterday and brought her home, cleaned her up, got her warm and dry.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in the house ever since. We're starting to take regular trips to the mud hole, and hopefully some of the others, as they get a little bigger, will start crawling out and we can bring them in. So I'm on kitten duty tonight. My son got called into work. So let's see. Here we go. There we go. I'm a little distracted. I'm sorry. Please welcome my beautiful sisters with me tonight. I have Allie, or Alice, as her real name is, Heart and Soul Connected. We have Marina from Heart Centered Tarot, and the beautiful Val from Dragonfly Crystals and Next Level Channeling. And bunches of people in the chat. And hi. That's as far as I'm going to get with y'all tonight. Because I'm on kitten duty. We've got with Pope Francis passing away on Monday, it just and just kind of the worldwide response. My thought was, well, let's talk about grief a little bit and how we may personally grieve over a world leader, somebody famous, a religious leader of any faith, or how do you help others who kind of fall apart because of it, there's a lot of people that didn't really care if Pope Francis is here or not. It just wasn't important to them. And that's okay, and there are others that are falling apart at the seams because of it. And so what do you do? How do you deal with it? What is I see you. What may be, I look down and she's like looking at me. What may be the best response on just the general stages of grief? You have denial, you have anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. And those are the 5 steps of grief. And so I think the denial, a lot of people have kind of jumped right over that with the Pope because everybody was expecting it because he was very sick. Anger, I haven't really seen a lot of anger over it. I have seen a lot of depression, a lot of acceptance from people to a certain degree. We kind of knew it was coming. A lot of us had already read on it and kind of predicted that it was going to happen by this summer at the latest. So, what's that noise? Jeff's in the kitchen. Sorry, y'all. So I just thought we'd just round robin it and go around and see how everybody kind of deals with it with their clients that they read for, with their chatters, their members, and how they react to that kind of thing. Because they say it comes in 3s. So mayhap we'll have more better news to share over who might go.
Shari.
I'm sorry, that's very appropriate, but it just.
But you mean the person that's looking forward to going to the funeral? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. I didn't. I thought it earlier, and I thought, okay, no, you can't say that. So I didn't mean to say it. It kind of popped out of my mouth. And
Right.
yes,
That's
yes,
good,
I
Shari.
know.
Well, you know
My
what?
chin's
We
not
do not.
edible.
Yeah, we do not
Ow.
wish ill or wish that on anyone.
Anyone.
However, I will be more than glad to
sweetheart.
send thoughts and prayers when the obituary is announced. So
Let's just say,
Yeah, I'll
it'll be
dig
hard
up
to
some thought
cry.
and prayers somewhere.
yes, yes,
But
Mm.
oh my goodness, at least she's calming down now. So Val, let's start with you.
okay. So
Just give
I
us your
have to say,
general feelings
yeah,
on the
I have
matter.
to say for this show, that figurehead or that person that you look up to, that international person, whether it's religious or not, that you have an attachment to that crosses, be it Diana, Princess of Wales, or whoever it may be. In this instance, Pope Francis. It depends on your level of connectivity, your thoughts and consciousness going to that person. Does it go every day? Do you think about that person constantly? That will be your level of connection. Is it something that you feel in your heart you have some divine connection to? Then that level deepens. And that is just as significant as a person in your family crossing over to many people who have that kind of connection, be it the Dalai Lama or whomever they might have that connection with. So on my channel, and to me and the people that I read for, I have not had one person comment on feeling grief. And it may well be that they have the higher perspective of someone's crossing. This person crossed over. They were of the age of someone who would cross over, and they'll be helping from the other side. Good for them. Safe voyage to the next levels of understanding, and you're never disconnected. So in my area, I have not had one person say anything about it or ask, but the deepness of your connection is relevant to how much you are sending your consciousness toward that person. If you read the Dalai Lama's quotes every day and you're reaching out and listening to his prayers and feeling that energy, you're going to feel a void when he crosses of some level in the 3D, in this earth plane, but you'll still have your heart connected to him and you'll still be able to communicate. There are people who are still thinking about it like somebody's gone forever from them.
True.
That is a deeper level, but it's illusionary in some way. Although when your spouse crosses, for instance, if you're of an age and they're going to cross over, it doesn't stop you from feeling that loss of that companionship and that person that shared space with you. Sure, you're still connected and you can communicate to them even on the other side. And I'm sure they'll do things to make sure you know they're still there. But that, like I said, is the level of your attachment, your connection. So it all is relative to that. And if somebody did come to me and was feeling that kind of pain, I would tell them absolutely 100% to breathe deeply and appreciate that person and be grateful for all the energy and information and love that you received from them over the time they were here. And then I would ask them to take some deep breaths and connect to that person who crossed over, because they're still there. They want to be heard. They're still ready to talk to you. You can communicate with anyone from the other side. And I don't mean you have to be a psychic medium. You really can. And I would encourage them to connect and keep that bridge built between you and continue to converse. And you won't lose that beautiful insight, connection, and information. So I think that's very healing. And I acknowledge all the people who may be feeling the grief about Pope Francis crossing. Just lean into the gratitude for whatever he brought to you and enriched your lives with, and be thankful and send that light to him and keep connecting. So
That's beautiful, Val.
thank you.
Absolutely. Marina, how about you?
Very, very similar to what Val had to say, in that yes, that the closer that we are to someone who passes, the more of an effect, obviously, that is going to have on us. Having said that, I can, on a soul level, I can appreciate his transition and just kind of say, okay, you know what? I hope you fulfilled your mission. I hope that you were okay with the way that things went. So I can honor the person, even though I may not know them personally. You know, I can honor that soul's journey. Excuse me, but yes, I agree with Val that one of the first things that most people who, if they are asking during a reading or they want to know about a loved one that's passed, the first thing I think that they ask is, are they okay? And yes, absolutely they are. And like Val said, you can communicate with them in those quiet moments, and just, you know, whatever thoughts come into your mind, just honor them and go with them, because that they are communicating with you. So, and everyone handles grief a little differently, right? Some people are more accepting of it as a fact of life. Others have, you know, kind of a love-hate relationship with the thought of death, where, you know we're all going to end up there, but could you hang on? I'm not done. You know?
We all know it, but you know,
That's right.
not too soon.
Yeah. So I'll let you know when I get there. But, so I think that we just want to know that we are still connected, and we absolutely always are. So however you handle grief, however whatever road you're guided on, you know, in order to go through that process, honor that, because there is no right or wrong way to grieve. There is no time limit. Well, you know, it's been 3 weeks. Can you
Speed it up.
no.
No.
Right? So
Yeah.
just honor the process. It is something that is, you know, we all go through it at some point, whether it's the loss of someone dear to us that we love, that we have a relationship with, or whether it's our pets. My pets are as important to me as any human member of my family.
Right.
More so in some cases.
If truth be told.
If truth be told, yes. I prefer the company of my pets to some people I know. So,
That's interesting.
yeah, and yeah, it does shake you when, particularly if you're the one that has to make the decision about when that pet is going to transition. That feels like a very, very heavy heavy burden.
Everything. That's true.
So yeah, that's what I got. And thank you everyone for being here. Yeah, there's a good number of you, and wonderful. Thank you for encouraging and communicating with each other in the chat as well. So.
Awesome. That's great. Hello, everybody. Sorry I haven't called out names tonight. I'm a little preoccupied.
Yes.
Patches is making her worldwide debut. She's the only one that we have back. We managed to get to her yesterday
I'll be
and
right
get her out of the mud hole.
Mhm.
We're working on getting the other 3. So, but for now, I have a very hungry kitty. Well, she's turning into a sleepy kitty now. I'm hoping she'll crash soon. I'm on kitty duty because my son had to work tonight. So I was like, I got a show. He says, so do I.
There you go.
So Allie, where are you on all of this? What is
Well,
your feelings
it's
and
interesting.
thoughts?
I agree with what everybody else has said, and there's no sense rehashing that. But I do agree, very, very much aligned with that. I did read with regard to pets. This floored me, but makes a lot of sense that if you're not married or you don't have a relationship, a pet fills that for you if you're a single person. And that's of course they vibrate at 540, which is unconditional love. So you can't go wrong. So no wonder why we feel that loss when they go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
a loss
it's
of that
so-
unconditional love being that you had. Yeah.
looked at you, didn't care what your hair looked like or if you
Didn't care.
farted or whatever. Yeah. And so, that's important. But I'm going to turn it a little bit in a different direction here today too. And I'm going to talk about grief from a life you had, a job you had, friends you had. And what I mean by this is some people, they lose a job. They lose a job, or they maybe some of them lose their house to a house fire, or they have some kind of a disaster that takes things away from them, or friends that may still be alive, but there's no interaction anymore, which is another form of grief, and divorce, of course. And I guess what I have to say is, even if you haven't lost the job, but you're in a position where you're not doing as well as you used to do, then that's a loss. And so
It is, and it can be felt like grief. Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Because I was required to look at some of my course evaluations today, and I have to meet with the dean. And I've had some really hurtful things said about me. And so, it's a decision that I'll have to make. Everybody goes through it. Maybe it's time for me just to retire. But, somebody saying that I'm disingenuous, somebody saying
How can they know your heart?
I know I agree with that, but I
That's
just have
artificial.
yeah,
please
it's artificial.
said.
Yeah,
It's
Rose, you've been
artificial.
through it too. Yeah.
Allie,
there
that
was
sounds like I haven't finished my assignment on time and she didn't give me an A because
Exactly.
yeah, she's no empathy, no compassion,
Exactly.
no understanding for my situation.
Somebody said,
Thank you.
somebody said, I think Allie probably was a really good teacher, in the past, but that she comes across as living in controlled chaos. And I read it to Keith, and he goes, "Oh, they see you then, because this is controlled chaos." And so, anyway, I think it's just sour grapes, but
I think,
yeah.
entitlement.
But that's a
children.
loss because I've never gotten that kind of, some people don't like you, and that's normal.
That's fine.
But when you have
But
somebody
they have
saying,
a reason why.
Right.
So they've gotten a platform. This is what's wrong with student reviews or
I know.
things, because there's too much leverage they have.
Yeah.
If they want
Right.
to say something
Yeah.
unproductive for you,
Yep.
it's just divisive and really is a bad system.
It is a bad system, and I know that, and I'm not taking it personally, but what I'm taking personally is that I already know that I don't want to do it anymore, and I've known that for a long time. So that makes it like verification, if you know what I mean.
Yes, it is.
There's a feeling of loss around it, and
Yeah.
again, this isn't all a pity party for me. I don't want to come across that way, but all I'm saying is that those times of grief for us bring back other times of grief for us, losses of people, losses of baby pets, and you know, friends and things like that. And there is a continuum, as you said. It isn't like, well, it's been 3 weeks, you know, you better get over it, like you said. I mean, that, and there are some people who believe that that's what you should do.
Exactly.
You know? And some people grieve for the rest of their lives. And
it's just, I think
not
it's true.
good.
Like you said, Allie, and it'll go in stages, and things will bring it up again, and then you'll cycle back out, and things will bring it up, and it's just it happens like that till it's a softer feeling about it. But when you've been doing something for many, many years, and you have to switch it up, and you're finally seeing the writing on the wall that the universe is saying,
yes, it is a sign.
You don't like this. You don't even want to be here.
I know. Yeah. So I just got a verification.
it's your own verification to yourself.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
And you know, so it's all good. And it's interesting that it happened this week. And also I had the 3 of Swords in a reading by Blaine the other day. And to me, it was about my career.
Yes.
So I'm taking that as a sign. Yeah.
It is. It kind of looks like a sign.
It does. It does. So
You're just moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
You're just, you'll still be teaching. You will always teach because that's who you are at your core.
Absolutely.
So
You'll
be
be
teaching the
things.
university, YouTube.
You'll be teaching to people who actually appreciate and want, you know, probably pay for your information.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's just the generational shifts that I have seen since 1999 are explosive. And so just I'm not their cup of tea, which is fine, but they're not necessarily mine either. So
exactly.
Yeah. But it's just interesting. Sometimes you have to be forced into something and go into that grief in order to move to the other side. And
rare
so
that we sometimes, it's rare that we sometimes go, oh, you know, I'm getting a light sign, but I think it's time to go. No, you're going to wait till they hit you with the boom.
Yes.
And,
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Ding dong. What my mother used to say. She used to say,
I don't know very many times.
Sunshine, the sun comes up over Marblehead. In other words, your head is, you know.
Yes.
I love that. I don't know many times when I actually quit something or left something early. It's you just you know, it looks like it might be time. But you stay and then you find out, yeah,
I get it. Anyway, I just want you all to realize that sometimes these things just come along to provide you the opportunity to grieve for a life you used to have that's no longer something you need to be doing.
Can I just say also, when you do that, more opportunities come in like crazy. The minute you leave a void and you quit something, there's a whole bunch of things that open up for you, brand new doorways and pathways.
That's great.
So just more opportunities.
Yep, totally.
Is that the kitty making that noise?
No, that's my nephew. She was asleep and then I started talking.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. No need to. I'm okay. Everything's okay. It just was a good example of different types.
Yeah, it was a wonderful example.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's a wonderful example because we all go through grief, whether it's loss of a leader, loss of a family member, loss of a friend, loss of a job, loss of your money because the financial markets get wiped out, you know.
Somebody
that
not
was the other cat, and I don't know what. That's somewhere over there. Okay, anyway, Kitty's in my arms. She's safe. So I don't know what the other one's fussing about. But anyway, so it just kind of hit me with, you know, what with Pope Francis dying, just the outcrying that I saw from so many people, you know, of she's yelling at somebody out the window. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
One of the boyfriends is out the window and she's in heat right now. So
Rose says it's Wild Kingdom.
Yeah, I got a Wild Kingdom going on in here right now.
It's funny.
But you know, it just it was like when mommy snatched the kittens and went and stuffed them in the hole last week. I went through 2 days of abject grief because my babies were gone. With my son continually telling me, "Mommy, they're not your babies. They're not your
Yeah.
babies. They're mommy's babies, not your babies." I'm like, "No, they're my babies. I was here from the minute they were born. Those are my babies."
Sure.
He's like, "Yeah, but you didn't give birth to them, so they're not your babies."
Doesn't matter.
And I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I said, "They're still my babies." And he's like, I know. Because he feels the same way. He's more soft-hearted than I am, I think, when it comes to this kind of stuff. And but there's just so much. I mean, and yeah, different people react in different ways. I know I tend to be, I know when my husband died, a lot of people kind of didn't understand why I behaved the way I did. But it's like I don't cry in public, or very rarely. It has to be something that really catches me off guard, you know. Um, I keep it locked up until I'm home alone, no one's around, and then I'll bust loose and let it out. Um, and so it, some people, they may go through phases where they don't eat or drink or sleep, or the exact opposite. They overeat, overdrink, oversleep,
Yeah.
trying to deal with the grief. And it just made me think about it, with all that was happening. And I'm looking around the world and seeing people, having major meltdowns because of, Pope Francis. And I was like, well, he was a cool dude and I liked him a lot. I mean, he did some very good things for people and for the church. And he did some things I really didn't agree with, but that's true no matter what. And I'm sure I'm going to feel the same way when His Holiness the Dalai Lama passes, because I've been following him for years and years and years. It's like when John Lewis passed away.
Oh yeah.
I remember getting a tweet. It was back when it was still Twitter. On, I had gotten a tweet, so I opened up my Twitter to see what was going on, and I see this big thing, John Lewis, whatever birth date to the death date. And I'm thinking to myself, well, now that's not funny, because they do that all the time. You see people do that all the time. They'll put like somebody's died to get a reaction out of people. And it made me angry. And then I got another tweet about it. And then another tweet about it. And I'm like, wait a minute. And so I went to the Google machine and put it in, and sure enough, he had passed away. I was more upset about him dying than I was of any other major political or public figure that I've known the last 10 years. It just was devastating to me, I guess, because watching him do and fight for all that he's done and fought for over the years, it just really struck me that, wow, we have lost a really pivotal person when it came to civil and equal rights in this country, and or across the world even. I mean, we forget that there are other places that look to our civil and equal rights leaders for encouragement to keep going in their fight for civil rights and equal rights. Unfortunately, far too many people don't see that on the other side, but I know I've had a few people contact me, very upset. I was like, we've been predicting this for a little bit now. We saw it coming. He was very ill. So I was more shocked about him appearing on Easter service the day before and giving the homily or whatever it is they call it for Easter service than I was that he had passed. That sounded normal to me when I heard he passed, because it was like, well, yeah, we've kind of been waiting for that. The surprise was the day before when he went and did service and, whatever else it is that they do on their Sundays. And so I think we have to be careful, especially when we're talking about world leaders, religious leaders, you know, local leaders, whatever, that we don't, no matter how good they were or not, we shouldn't be putting them up on a pedestal after they die like they were the end all be all
Right.
of all of our issues, because no, they weren't. Um, you hear people griping about, you know, Congressman so and so, and then a few days later that person dies, and suddenly, oh, he was the wisest person in the Congress, or he was this, that, or the other. Or you hear it with teachers. You know, maybe a teacher was a really shitty teacher or crappy teacher, and suddenly this teacher would, for whatever reason, something happens, they pass away. Suddenly everybody's talking about, oh, what a wonderful teacher this person was, and they were so good with their kids. And it's like, no, none of the kids like that teacher. What are you talking about? Half the faculty didn't like that teacher. What are you talking about? Um, so I think it's to not, an important step is to not fall into the trap of idealizing. Is that how you say it? Idolizing the person who has passed. You know, it's, and of course, it's a different concept when it's a public figure as opposed to privately. I think you go through different levels of grief,
Yeah.
one over the other. Um, and I think that as far as when, like I've had this week, people reach out and say, well, what do we do about this? You know, there's not a lot you can do. The man's dead. End of story. Um, I mean, you can certainly pray for his soul or whatever it is you pray for. Um, uh, but I think it was me trying not to give flip answers to what seemed like a silly statement or question, and trying to take it as seriously, because this person was very serious about what they were talking about. And so that's what made me think of talking about this. Just like it's, you know, because there's so many different reactions. I'm sure when the felon goes, there's going to be a lot of people around the world who are going to celebrate that fact and not mourn that fact. And while I can sit here in one respect and say, you made your bed, now you got to lie in it, to, you know, don't be disrespectful over it. I guess, you know, um, it's like giving somebody a bad review on their job because you're pissed at them because they wouldn't give you that A that you didn't earn in class. You know, instead they got the C that was the level of effort you put into it, or a D, or even an F if you didn't even bother to do it at all or not. Um, but that can also cause grief to the person who's now being accused of being a poor teacher.
Unfairly judged. And I think that for us Libras, that is one of the things that really can get us, is because our integrity, our sort of mission in life is to be fair and balanced and so on. And when someone calls that into question, I know for me at least, it feels like
Personal.
a slap across
Yeah.
the face. Yeah, it feels very personal.
Very personal. Very
Yeah.
personal.
So,
For anyone who works hard at trying to keep the boat from rocking too hard, you know, let's keep an even balance here and whatnot. And you get somebody that comes along that wants to flip everything upside down. Suddenly your voice of calmness and let's keep this in a balance, y'all. Let's, you know, everybody calm down. Suddenly you're considered the wacko. So, or else ugly things start getting said about you, and it's not fair. It's not right. But that
But you know what? As long as they're talking about me, they're leaving someone else alone. So yeah,
That's true, Marina.
yeah,
that's very true.
no matter.
Something
Have
I've
at it.
always
I can
said,
handle
you
it.
can call me or say about me anything you want. It's going to go in this ear, out the other ear, and roll off my back like water on a duck.
Mhm.
But say something about my family or my friends, you're going to be in a
Oh,
fight.
that's true. That's a hard thing.
You know,
Yeah, that's very hard. Mhm.
that's just a bridge too far for me. It's like, yeah, no, you don't pick on my family, you don't pick on my friends, you know, whether they deserved it or not. Don't do it. If there's a problem, come tell me and I'll pick on them, you know, but you need to take it
Yeah,
back.
because I'm going to do it from a place of love.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it would be better received most times from someone that's coming from a place of love to
Yes.
address that. So, and I know we're kind of flipping all over the place here, but it just kind of struck me, you know, with everybody all kind of freaked out and whatnot, you know, say, well, what do we do? What do we do? And so we did actually have a question for us to read on tonight. Thank you very much, Val, who had it on her channel. And I can get to it now. Let's see if I can make it fit in the chat so we can post it.
And well
Okay.
done, KLK. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, yeah,
response.
it's split
Your
it into
opinion
two.
of me is
Okay.
none of my business. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's Stargazer's question? Okay.
Yeah,
See?
so this is part one of it.
Okay.
Reported on the secret meeting between hedge fund heads and Treasury Secretary. They were told huge tariffs against China weren't sustainable, so they would be coming down. It's why the market rallied. China won. The orange menace caved.
I don't know if that's a question, though, now that I'm looking at it.
No, now that I'm reading it, it's like it's kind of just a point to be brought to, but
yeah.
it's a good point. I mean, and I think we're in this country, we're in the position we're in because far too many people bought into the lie that started getting sold to us back when Nixon was president that your vote doesn't matter anyway. Why bother?
I am not a crook.
You know, why,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not
a
a crook. Why say anything at all? Why, you know,
Yeah.
why anything? It's got, you don't have any pull over that. And I think because of that, a lot of people have just disengaged with a lot of things in life, not just political, but
Right?
you
They've
know,
had to
other
for,
aspects as well.
for their
you know.
sanity. Yeah.
Um, we saw, and a lot of people have grieved over this fact that as the young people in a family grow up and get their degree and they move as far away from mom and dad as they possibly get.
Yeah.
Now, maybe in a few rare places that's necessary. But there was a time when most families, you had 2, 3, 4 generations all living under the same roof together.
Yes.
And usually grandmama was the boss. So whatever she said is what went, especially down here.
In Native American culture as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Native American culture, the warriors do
Mhm.
not make any decisions until the
No.
grandmothers
They have a
tell
council.
them
Yeah.
what their opinion is on it, what they've
Mhm.
conclusion they've come to, which seems pretty damn smart to me. You know,
Sounds smart to me.
let the women
Exactly.
decide, especially the grandmothers, because they're the ones that have raised all of these warriors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, you know, it's like, is it worth losing my child, my grandchild, my great grandchild, whatever, to fight this silly war? You know, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of things we grieve over. We grieve over our car dies and suddenly we don't have a car anymore.
Yeah.
You grieve over it, even though you may have griped and complained about that car for months on end. Now suddenly you're without. And that's a cause for, being upset.
Absolutely. Can I just mention something very superficial?
Absolutely.
When they stopped making the Nabisco chocolate peanut log, ideal chocolate peanut log, no one remembers except me because I had to grieve that they stopped making them.
Yeah.
And I
Well, what
couldn't
happened?
find
What
the
happened to
Nabisco.
Funny Bones? I used to eat Funny Bones all
Oh,
the time,
there
and I
you go.
can't find.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's what I mean. I grieve that product in the
Mhm.
grocery store shelves
I get it. I get you. Yeah. I do.
Totally.
to this day.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
Google, how do I make them?
My favorite cereal as a kid was Quisp. You remember with the
Yeah.
little
Yes.
green space Martian on it? I love that cereal. Can you buy it anymore? No.
I've never actually heard of it, but it sounds
Oh,
fun.
I've seen it.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Sounds
pure
fun.
sugar and will make you climb the walls. I mean,
Yeah.
I loved it as a kid. It was
Yeah.
great. And most times I ate it not with milk in the bowl. I just ate it by the handfuls like it was a treat,
Yeah.
That's how sweet it was. It was like eating a cross between a cookie and a candy, a little bit of both.
Mm.
Yes.
And, and some people go, eh, that's cool, because not everybody likes shredded wheat. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It just kind of really struck me, just the overall mood of the global outpouring for the Pope. And then, of course, to have your own leadership make really stupid and asinine comments about it, where you're like, just one more thing you're going to embarrass us about. So, but I think it's important that when somebody is grieving about something, and this has been shown in test after test on it, is that don't stop that person from talking. Let them talk it out. Yeah, maybe you don't want to hear it, but
Yeah.
they need to purge so that they can cleanse themselves to go forward.
Mhm.
They keep it buried, it's a lot harder for them to move forward.
Oh, yes.
It's just like, don't tease people because they treat their pets like their babies, because their pets are their babies. I don't care if it's a grand Maltese mountain dog, whatever they call them. They look like a miniature horse. They're so
Yes.
big, you could ride them like a damn miniature horse. Or if it's a little itty bitty chihuahua, it's you love your animals like they're your own. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you live at a young age and they go through
Yes.
many, many, many cycles of life with you, it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
But I guess I just wanted to bring it up and just, say to everybody, before you make some snarky quip about it or some negative statement on it, maybe stop and count to 5 and take a deep breath before you open your mouth and engage. Why cause someone else who's mourning more problems than what they had before you laid all your crap on the ground at their feet? They've got enough of their own crap to take care of. Them. They don't need your stuff too,
Which begs the question. One of the last people that the Pope had a conference with was somebody that is he likes couches. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to wonder what that conversation was about, because I think he came in earlier and the Pope sent out a representative to speak to him, and that was supposed to be sufficient. And the next thing you know, he's there on Easter, I guess, and he wants it's like, I don't care if you're sick, if you're dying, if you're going to have a stroke, I need to talk to you. It's like the greed of somebody to
Mhm.
pull the energy from a man who
Yeah.
doesn't have much. I don't know. It just
Exactly.
bothers me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
I
thought.
felt the same way when I saw the picture.
Yeah.
That's how it hit me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a thought on how that conversation went.
Uh-huh.
And I think, the Pope greeted him and said, "Sit down. I have something I need to tell you.
Mhm.
As you know, I have been quite sick recently. I've had an opportunity to chat personally with my Lord and Savior. And he has a message for you. He said, keep his name out your mouth.
Yeah. Keep
I
your name
delivered
out.
the message. I'm out of here."
Right. Keep it
Well, he
buried in
actually
your couch
refused
somewhere.
to see. He actually refused to see him. the
I know.
first request.
Oh
I know
my
he
God.
did.
Then he came back and said, changed his mind. And that's kind of when he let them know, I don't approve of what you're doing because it's not Christ-like. And from
Right.
what I understand, Moses Mike is a brand new baby Catholic Christian. And so he was thinking, I'm going to go to the Vatican and I'm going to score points with the head honcho.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to
Before
make
he
me look good
crosses
in my
over.
home church.
Before he crosses over, because
Right. Got to catch him now. Can't
gotta
catch him on the
real
flip flop, you know?
Yeah.
jet over fast.
But you know what? He's going to live with that for the rest of his life. He was the last person that the Pope saw
Everybody's saying that now.
before he said, adios, guys, I'm out of here.
He's the Pope killer now. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, everyone.
No.
Rose
Yeah,
says 3 clergymen sermoned him beforehand. Oh my
Yes.
God. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
You think you keep pushing something when someone's that ill? Oh yeah, but I got to see him. I got to see him. I got to see him. Oh, yeah, I think you're right,
It's
Rose.
not tastefully done. Let's just say it that way.
No. No.
You know.
Yeah. Wow.
No. And then at the same time, you know what? You kind of have to give Pope Francis his due, because in the end, even having this guy in front of him for a minute or two, and from what I understand, it was a very, very
Dark minute.
yeah, like, it wasn't like we had a conversation. It was very, very quick. But after schooling him on what it's like to be a Christian and to be Christ-like and, take care of everyone, that the Pope could appear in front of him and not even say anything, because he would give off the impression that I'm a bigger man than you are.
Well, you could see by the look on his face in the picture that he was like, oh my God, you again?
Yeah. I saw that face. He couldn't even hide. The Pope had an expression on his face that said the whole thing.
He did. He did.
Especially
It's
when
like
he
a kid.
and
The kid
melanoma.
The kid comes to your house on Halloween for some candy, and he comes back 3 times. You know who he is by that time. Yeah.
Yes.
He had a similar face when he shook Donald Trump's hand.
Yes, I saw that.
The expression could not lie.
Yes.
Right. You're right.
Especially that one picture where it was the Pope in the middle and then Trump on one side, and I think Melania was on the other.
Yeah.
And
he just,
the look on his face was like, get me out of here.
Yeah. It was like, I mean, it was so.
With the Obamas, he had a grin from ear
to ear. He was so.
And had a hold of both of them.
Yeah.
This was, and same thing with Biden.
Yeah.
Same with Biden. And Biden's a staunch Catholic,
Yes.
Well, it wouldn't even matter if you're Catholic, because the Obamas, as far as I know, aren't Catholic. It's just that you're working for the light.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think the Obamas are probably like borrowed to be Catholic, because they got adopted by Joe Biden and his family when they ran.
Yeah.
in 2008. And Obama came back and said, I thought I was picking a vice president. I didn't know I was picking a new family. They developed them, I
Yeah,
mean,
they did. Yeah.
they became family. And so
He doesn't foist his religion off on anyone, though. Joe Biden doesn't.
No.
He doesn't do that.
he doesn't. He doesn't. He's not afraid to admit it. So I'm a Catholic. This,
He
I'm
doesn't.
not-
He doesn't. He doesn't hide who he is, but he doesn't make people come into his religion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's not recruiting.
Thank
Yes, exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
He's one of those Catholics that I admire,
Yeah.
where it's a case of, I don't need you to quote the Bible for me. I don't need you to say the words. I want to see your actions.
Right.
Exactly.
Because your actions are going to tell me a lot more about where your values are than the words that you have memorized and you just repeat them.
Precisely, Marina. Precisely. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Yes, yeah. Catholics don't generally knock on people's doors and say, "Hi, have you heard about Jesus?" It's like I've
He does
read
my
the book.
yard. He's my yard worker. Yeah.
Well, it's like
Oh, that's Jesus.
one of the best responses I remember Forrest Gump making in the movie was when he was, and the guy was making a joke about it. It was like, "Have you found Jesus?" And Gump was like, "I didn't know he was lost."
Yes, exactly. So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's just, when you see people grieving, even if it's for a public figure, a political figure, a religious figure, I think the takeaway that we all should pull from it is give them that space to grieve.
Yeah.
They'll be back to normal eventually. Just it's totally different when it's a personal person that's died. That's way different how you deal with it. But it's just like, you see an actor that's been around for 100 years and they pass away and everybody's all upset. And,
Sure.
or when President Carter passed away, that kind of thing. It's like you have to learn to step back and let that person grieve over that loss, because you don't know what that person may have meant to them in their own personal journey, be it political, religious, cultural, entertainment wise, whatever, but we have to learn to give people space to grieve in their own ways. I know that's what I tried to tell the few people that have contacted me is like, look, if you're grieving, grieve, and that's okay, but don't, you're not doing a one-upmanship on somebody else,
Yeah.
You don't have to wail in the streets and gnash your teeth like some religious sects do, I mean, if you're sad, you're sad. I mean, it's like yesterday. I got up yesterday morning and I was sad about it. So I wore all black yesterday. And I'm sure there were people that were like, why is she all in black? And if anyone
Wait a
was,
minute. That's my uniform daily.
well,
Black is a color, folks.
today I wore dark gray and dark green. So the palette of the color came up a little bit. But it was like, I feel sad about it, so I'm going to dress accordingly. And that's all that it went to.
You know what I actually did, honestly? I just said, when I heard he crossed, I talked to him and I said, thank you for everything you did on earth in this lifetime. And I wish you well. And I just sent him a bunch of light. And I felt a connection.
Yeah.
And I sent that light off. But the best way to help someone who's in grief, don't talk them out of it. Let them have their feelings.
Yeah.
Let them
Deeply listen and be present. Acknowledge the person's feelings and recognize it from their perspective. Validate the person's experience and let them know they are not alone and offer practical support. There isn't, you don't talk people out of it. There's no talking them up. There's no, you just got to hold the space for them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're not looking for answers. They're not talking to you because there's a problem that they want you to solve. They just want to talk.
That's all.
So, yeah, just have a big cup of coffee or tea handy, lots of tissues, and just nod your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's the
Exactly.
perfect holding the space for someone.
Yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
they need. Yeah.
Exactly. Let them grieve their way,
Yes.
and you'll grieve your way.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
And that's okay. And not everybody grieves the same way. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh my
okay
God.
too.
Yeah. Thank you, you guys, for spending, part of your day, evening with us here. That is so fabulous. And yeah, so many of you are so encouraging to each other that,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Thank you, Marina,
really
for kind
enjoy
of
it.
co-hosting for me since I've been kind of preoccupied here.
Mhm.
She's like on her back now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to everyone's channels.
Everybody's channel is in the description box below, so you can go directly to that, click on it, go to their channel, hit that subscribe button. It makes a huge difference. It helps the algorithm, helps push us out so more people can find us. Go and watch all the other shows. They all, Marina and Val and Allie all put on wonderful shows, all different variety of types of shows. And so you're pretty much going to find what you're looking for at any given moment. Between the four of us, somebody's going to have something already there that you're like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to think about right now.
Exactly.
So, give it a shot. And if you feel inclined, join a membership. That helps support us so that we can do what we do online. Pays the bills, right? So
Exactly. Which are getting higher and higher by the minute.
Oh,
So next week we are gathering on Allie's channel. Yay!
Mhm.
Yay.
thank you.
Yeah. And it will be a couple days after the Canadian federal elections.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Could be interesting.
Mhm.
very interesting.
Interesting.
very much so.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night is Golden Girls Coffee Clutch.
Yes.
So Marina and I will be there and with Cleo. And you get all your snarky political stuff out then. We try to leave this show more on the spiritual side, although sometimes the political does kind of beat its way through the door. They know, talk about me now. But all right, I'm gonna go veg out on my kitten here, who is
Thanks,
quite
everybody.
literally.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all
Later
can see her.
on.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good
Enthralled.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Have a great evening.